Hi everyone, we are looking at the 2017 N Level paper for the GI, okay, or weather climate GI. Okay, generally most of you have did it quite okay, but if you need to be a bit more careful. All right, so we are looking at question A, part 1, part 2, part 3. All right, first one, the question asks you to describe how they obtain the measurements. Okay, how they obtain the measurements. Now, most of you are able to tell me things like, they need to use a thermometer. Okay, so some of you talk about Sixers thermometer. It's Sixers, there is no TH. Okay, there is no TH involved. Okay, Sixers thermometer or alcohol thermometer or mercury thermometer, they're all fine. All right, you're able to tell me about this thermometer, 1 mark. Okay, but subsequently a lot of you went on to talk about what the precautions to ensure accuracy, when it's actually more for the answer for part 2. Okay, so actually what you could have told me is they ask you how they obtain the measurements. Then maybe you can tell me more about at what time do they take the measurements and how often do they do it. Okay, so probably things like they measure across 21 days, and in each day and at each day they take a measurement at 8 a.m. and one more at 4 p.m. Okay, that would have helped to answer the question better, okay, rather than repeating the precautions in part 2. Okay, so part 2 most of you are able, part 1 most of you are able to, if you included this, then you would have helped to show how they obtain the measurements. Okay, some of you talk about reading at eye level. Okay, or some of you talk about making sure that the thermometer is left in the area, is held out for a few minutes before reading. Taking the reading is also possible. Okay, but then again, this will function better in part 2, instead of talking about how they measure, how they get the measurement to begin with, which is what the question asks for. Okay, so part 2 is all your precautions. So things like 1 arm length away from body. Okay, things like at least 1 meter above the ground. All right, things like reading at eye level, etc. So any of the 2 precautions, you'll get 2 marks. Okay, now the third one, I think most of you have a good idea of what diurnal range is. Okay, so diurnal basically means within the day. Oops, let me get the correct tool. Okay, so most of you know that diurnal is within the day, and you are able to answer the question correctly. Okay, so a lot of you said maximum temperature minus the minimum temperature. Okay, but this is not a very precise answer. Okay, so firstly, within when? Within the year, within the month. So you need to show that you understand diurnal. Okay, so it needs to be maximum temperature of each day of a day. So you must say that in each day of the 21 days. Okay, they take the students take the maximum temperature of the day. Okay, and minus, or you can make it more elegant. The students calculated the difference between the maximum temperature of the day and the minimum temperature of the day. Okay, now to be even more precise, how did they even get the maximum and minimum temperature? Well, you will see that most of the time they take the maximum temperature at 4 p.m. Okay, all right, at 4 p.m. Okay, and they take the minimum temperature at 8 a.m. So it will be more clear if you mention that this is how they do it. Okay, between the maximum temperature of the day which was taken at 4 p.m. and the minimum temperature of the day which was taken at 8 a.m. That would have been a very complete answer to justify the 2 marks here. Okay, so that's all for A part 1, 2 and 3.